Okay, I'm going to quickly go through lab 3 here because it was a complicated lab, and hopefully you'll, if I do this, you'll be able to see where you may have made some errors or may have done things differently that you didn't quite understand. So the lab opens up. They have you go into the project or the program options. They want you to check this box that says automatically enable on-the-fly reprojection if layers have a different CRS. Okay, you'll also note the default is that all new projects always start with the CRS of WGS84 or the EPZIT code for 4326. So we're going to say OK there. Now we're going to add our Washington counties shapefile to this, to the data frame. Note down here in the lower right hand corner that our current CRS is the WGS84. We're going to go here. We're going to add our counties 1 shapefile. Now look, our down in the lower right corner, we see that our current coordinate reference system has changed to NAD83. Now on some computers, some versions of QGIS, and just some days, this doesn't work. So if your data frame or your map window frame did not change to NAD83, that can be simply rectified by going over to the layer menu, right clicking, and say set project CRS from layer. You'll get to the same point. Okay, so we have our map of Washington counties. First thing we want to do is create a new reprojected layer of Washington counties in the CRS of Washington State Plain South. So what I'm going to do is right click on counties again and go save as. First thing I'm going to choose is a location and a name for this lab, and I'm just going to quickly give it a name. And I know where this is going. That's something else you should. I always suggest that instead of just typing the name under the Save As box, that you actually click on the Browse button, so that you can be sure you know which folder your data is being saved into. Now I need to choose the right CRS. So I'm going to click on this button here. Note in the instructions are actually from an older version of the program. This little globe button used to be it used to say browse, and that's what it says in the instructions. Instead, you want to just click on this little globe button, and I'm going to start by typing in Washington, and that's going to give me a list of Washington coordinate reference systems down here. So there are actually a couple that will work here that are NAD83 Washington State Plain South, but here's first one I came to. So I will say set. You'll notice too, down at the very bottom in this box, it gives you all the information about this projection that you could possibly want to know or not know. But one thing that is in here, you might notice that it says that the units are US feet. That comes into play later on when you're answering the questions. So I say OK here, and I'm going to save everything else. I'm going to make sure that this box is checked, and it always is by default. It says add saved file to map, and I'm going to say OK. And it's going to appear that nothing has changed other than the color of the map. I can now go over to, but if I go over to my layer and say set project CRS from layer. By the way, this notice I now have 2 layers. The first one, the WA Counties 1, was in had a coordinate reference system of NAD83. This new one, the WA_SPS, has a coordinate reference system of Washington State Plain South. And if I right click on that and say set project CRS from layer, voila, we get Washington, or the map window is now in the Washington State Plain South. And we notice down here that our coordinate reference button down in the corner has reflected that, and if I hover over it, it tells you that the coordinate reference system is Washington State Plain South. Okay, next step was to update the attribute table, and so to do that, I am going to open the attribute table. You can either right click and open attribute table, or I have an attribute table button up here. Okay, so we have our attributes, the name of the county, a identifier code, the shape length, which is the distance around the edge of each county polygon, and the shape area, which is the units of the area for each polygon. Okay, right now these fields do not get updated when we reproject, so they are still in the original decimal degrees. So, for example, here it says Adams County 3.854, etc. That is in degrees. That's the distance around the perimeter of Adams County. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Neither does the area of almost 0.6 square degrees. So anyway, we're going to create a new square miles field for this. And so well, actually the instructions have you actually update these two fields, so I guess we can do that first. The first thing to do is say toggle the editing mode, and I'm just going to show you how to update the shape area field. The shape length is pretty much the same thing. So I've toggled on the editing mode, and now I'm going over here to the open the field calculator. Okay, I'm going to update an existing field. I'm going to update the shape area field, and from the instructions, I've explained that what we're going to do here is type the word area, $ geometry, close the parentheses, and then just say OK. And our area has been updated so that it no longer is square degrees, but rather square feet, which is the units that are used in our State Plain South CRS. Okay, now I'm going to go back here one more time, and I'm going to since square feet is such a large number and it doesn't make a lot of sense when you're trying to try and compare such large numbers, what I'm going to do is add a field for square miles. Okay, so I'm going to go back and open the field calculator again. This time I'm going to create a new field, and this field's name is going to be SQ_miles. And this is real important. A couple of people I think messed up on this. You need, where it says whole number integer, you need to change that to decimal number. And then we're going to enter the same expression, the area $ geometry, and then I'm going to multiply that by the conversion factor that goes from square feet to square miles. And to do that, I'm just simply going to go out to Google. I've already typed this in, square feet to, well, square foot square miles here. I'm going to copy that just by Control C. Now I'm going to Control V to paste it, and click OK. And here are my square miles. Now you needed to actually look at the square miles for Whitman County, so I just do a reverse sort by just clicking on the name field until it sorts this column in reverse order. I see Whitman County is the second line here, and in square miles it's 2,177. So that number gets recorded on the Lab 3 data worksheet. Okay, save my edits here. This is important because if I didn't, they would simply go away, and then I can close the editor on this layer. Because what we want to do here, I'm going to sort these in ascending order again, is after we're finished with Whitman County, we're going to go to Mason County. Okay, and many of you may not know where that is in Washington, so I'm going to slide the attribute table out of the way here. And you're asked to record the coordinates of the northwest corner of Mason County. And you'll notice here down in the center, under the next to the word coordinate on our map, these are the state plane feet coordinates in easting and northing for the location of the cursor. So what I want to do now, I really am done with the attribute table, so I can zoom in on here, put my cursor right on the northwest corner, and you can see down below in the center part of the bottom part of the screen that I actually have the coordinates in feet for the northwest corner of Mason County for the coordinate reference system state plane south. Okay, so you record those coordinates also on the worksheet. Okay, so that finishes us off. I'm going to unselect by clicking on the appropriate button here in the top row of my icons, and I'm going to actually go back and zoom to the layer just by right clicking and going zoom to layer. Now the next step I want to do is pretty much just repeat exactly what I did, only I'm going to use UTM Zone 11 as my coordinate reference system. So I'm going to right click on Washington Counties again. I'm going to set Save As. I'm going to hit the Browse button. I'm going to call this WA_UTM. Save. I'm going to click my coordinate reference system, and I'm going to start typing in UTM Zone 11, and I can see then I have a list to choose from here. I'm interested in the plain vanilla NAD 83 UTM Zone 11 North with an EPSIG code of 26911. Now, could you have chosen any of these other NAD 83 variations? Yes, you could have, and it wouldn't have made any difference. The lab would have worked out fine. But I'm taking the plain vanilla one here. Say OK. So I've got my new shapefile named. I've got the new coordinate reference system here, and I'm going to click OK. And it has been added to the map, and again it doesn't look like anything has changed. I'm going to move it up in the layers menu a little bit. Just my program this afternoon seems to be kind of hooked on shades of blue, so you can't really see the change too well. I'm going to turn off this Washington State Plain South. Actually, I'm going to turn off the Washington County ones here. I am going to right click on the WA UTM and so go say set project CRS from layer, and you notice that Washington kind of tilted up a little bit on the western side, and that's just the properties of this coordinate reference system. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the Washington State Plain South as far as open up the attribute table. And this time I'm not going to mess around with either the shape length or shape area fields. You saw how to do that before. So I'm going to turn on the editor. I'm going to go to the field calculator. I'm going to create a new field, and it's still going to be called SQ miles, and it's still going to be a decimal field. And I'm going to type area $geometry, and I'm going to multiply it. Now I'm going to bring my buddy Google back up. Okay, here's something another point where I think a few people got confused. We want to go from, actually this time we want to go from square meters, not square feet. UTM, the units are meters, and so we're going to go from square meters, and I'm going to change that to 1. And we'll notice that the square miles number has changed, and so now I'm going to copy that and paste that different number in the field here. Say OK. Now I've got my square miles field has been populated. I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to sort this so that I can. There's Whitman County, and I can see that it is pretty much almost exactly the same, very slight difference. So 2,176 square miles under the UTM coordinate system. So record that number on the worksheet, and then while you're at it, let's go down and highlight Mason County again, and then that save our edits and turn off the editor. So we're done with the attribute table. Go ahead. Go back here. Zoom in to the northwest corner of Mason County, and again look at the coordinates down there on the in the coordinate box at the bottom of the screen. There are your coordinates. Okay, record those in the worksheet. We have one more coordinate reference system that we're going to use today, and that's the World Mercator. So again, let's just go zoom to layer, remove our selection, and now we'll do this same thing one more time. Save as, and I'll go WA_WM. Save. Choose coordinate reference system. Type in the filter box World Mercator. You notice that there are actually 3 different choices that come up, and they're all the same. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. We'll notice actually before I say OK here, that again if I go down to the bottom box, I can see that my units for World Mercator are also meters. So that's the same as the UTM coordinate reference system. They both share the units of meters. Say OK. Say OK, and then I'll move this up to the top. Oh, we changed to green this time. Okay, and now I'm going to right-click, say Set Project CRS from Layer, and you notice it looks a little bit different. It tilted again up in the eastern part of the state. Okay, so this is World Mercator. Once again, open the attribute table, turn on the editor, open up the field calculator. We're going to call our field square miles. It's going to be a decimal field. We're going to type area $geometry times, hold down the shift key, times, and actually since this coordinate reference system also is in square meters, we use the same conversion factor that we used with the UTM CRS. So I can just paste that number again. We're going to say OK, and clear it out here. And I see that under this coordinate reference system, Whitman County has an area of 4,646 square miles, which is considerably larger than the area that was measured either with UTM or the official Washington State Plain South. World Mercator is a system that's used by Google Maps and Google Earth, and it's meant to show the entire world. It works really well in web maps, but it is not overly accurate. It has some real distortions as far as area go when you're this far north. So anyway, beware of that, and also that difference in area will come into play when you're answering the questions here. So again, we're going to save that. Turn off our editor. Oh, let's go back down and get Mason County once again. Close our attribute table. Let's zoom in on Mason County. Put our cursor over the northwest corner and record the coordinates that are down at the bottom in the center in the coordinate box. Okay, record those on the worksheet. So that's the work. Now, as far as making maps from these three projections, I asked that you make a map from the state plane, the UTM, and the World Mercator. So let's just project new print composer. If I don't give it a name, it will just open up as composer 1. That's fine here. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Expand it out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add a map. Actually going to click on this Move Item Content button, and when I do that, I can scroll out a little bit and I can see my entire state. Except in this occasion, I actually asked you to plug in a scale of 1 to 4 million, and so you do that over under the item properties. There's a box called scale, and so I'm just going to enter 4 million. Hit enter. Okay. Now I can see that in this case Washington's a little bit clipped. I don't want to see that in my maps, and so at this point I'm going to click the Select Move Item button, and then I'm going to go grab one of these handles and move it out just a little bit. Okay, that's going to change my scale over here in the box, so I have to go back in there and go 4 million again. Okay, and that actually looks pretty good. Okay, by the way, this is I did not start with my State Plain South one. I'm actually jumped up to the World Mercator here since it was on top. So that's the map we're doing first. So I asked you to give it a title which included the coordinate reference system in the title. So I'm going to add a text box here, and we're going to say Washington counties, and then I'm going to hit enter and type World Mercator. I'm going to then click on the font button. It's Kandara. Let's make this let's say 36. Oh, that might be. I have to make a text box bigger. Let's go back and drop that down a bit. That's 24 ought to be adequate. Okay. And then I can choose to center that, and I can shrink my box down a little bit, just And then I can actually drag my box and see there, that red line indicates the center of the page. So there's my title. I asked you to put a scale bar on there, and this one's in kilometers, which is fine. I usually don't care for the left segments, so I drop those down to 0. Let's do the right ones, 5, 6. So that's 300 kilometers. If I wanted to change that to miles, all I would do is go up here and change my, where it says label unit multiplier, I'd change that to 1609 because there are 1609 meters in a mile. Change my label to miles. And then I have to go down here to where it says fixed width, and let's see, I want to make let's make this in hundreds of miles, so it'd be 160900, and let's drop that down 5, 4, 3. So there's how I've got, now I have a 300-mile scale bar. Okay, and I can change other things like the font, the type of scale bar, number of other colors, whatever you want. Let's see what else. Oh, I was going to throw on a north arrow here, so I do that by clicking on the Add Image button, and then just drawing a little box here. Expand out this button called Search Directories. It takes a second, and then find myself a north arrow that I like, and make it a little bit smaller because nobody really cares what direction north is. Okay. I believe I also asked you to add a text box with your name and the date, so you know how to do that. So there's our first map composer. So I'm going to close that and remove that selection here. And let's go do the State Plane South map next. Okay, so I'm going to say zoom to layer. I'm going to turn it on, turn off the state plane. I'm going to switch my coordinate reference system for my map layer back to Washington State Plane feet. Okay, project, new map composer, and quickly draw out a map here. Okay, we want it at 1 to 4 million, which actually is ridiculously small for this page size. But what I want you to do is compare this. You have all your maps are going to be at the same scale here, so they're all at 1 to 4 million. But if you compare the Washington State Plane South and the UTM maps to the World Mercator maps, you can see that World Mercator takes up a lot more area than the State Planes. So at this point, you could go ahead and add titles, add scale bar, add north arrow, just like I just showed you, and make your map there. Then after that, you're going to make one more map for the UTM coordinate reference system and do it the same way. Okay, you could actually, if you felt like it, could make this box around the Washington State Plane a little bit smaller, but again, then you have to go back and alter your scale, so because the scale is going to change whenever you alter the size of that box. Okay, so we've got that done, and so that's the first 3 maps. Then the last one, you can actually start a new project, and I'll just save this just so I can So this saves my project. So if I want to go back to these particular layers again, I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project here. Okay, I have my new document, so I'm going to start. The instructions say start with your Washington State Plain South data layer, so I've added that to the map. And I'm going to now add this Whitman Roads shapefile. Drop it. Oh, and this coordinates reference system selector comes up, and it's telling. In effect, what it's telling me is this data layer that I'm trying to add does not have any information about its coordinate reference system. Okay, so this sets off kind of a detective search. You cannot just select any coordinate reference system here. The data has a coordinate reference system. However, and it's your job to figure out what it is. Okay, there are several ways to approach this. One, a nice way, well, okay, I've got a layer here in State Plain South. Perhaps it's that. So let's go and I'm going to right here click on the Washington State Plain South CRS and say OK. And I don't see my data layer even though it's on top of the Washington State Plain. So, I right click, I go zoom to layer, and there are my roads, and let's change those. So style, and let's just make those black. Okay, so we can see them better later. Okay, so I have my roads here, but now I don't see my counties. So where are things in relationship to one another? So I'm going to click on this zoom full button up here. And what I'm seeing is I have my counties down at the bottom of the map, and I have my roads, this old black area, up at the top of the map. So clearly the coordinate system I chose was incorrect. So let's go back. Let's zoom in on this layer again. And I see that the coordinates associated with the data, as I pan around here, look at the box down at the coordinate box down at the bottom. What I'm seeing is this. Well, let me put it over Pullman here. We see we have our easting is about 487,000. Our northing is about 5,175,000. With a little experience, you recognize that those are UTM coordinates. And so, well, let's see. The next thing I can try, I'm going to go open up my Whitman Roads properties again. Go back to the General tab, and under Coordinate Reference System, I'm going to say Select One. I'm going to, instead of selecting the State Plain or anything else, I'm going to select NAD 83 UTM Zone 11. Okay. Now the one thing I'll say about this is that method I just used at looking at the coordinates will give you a pretty good idea of what the projected coordinate system is if you recognize them. But it does not really help you as to if this data layer were in a different geographic coordinate system. That's pretty hard to judge, and you almost need some outside information to be able to make that evaluation. But anyway, I'm choosing UTM Zone 11 North here. I'm going to say OK, and so I'm changing the label on this the layer properties for the Whitman Roads. I'm not reprojecting here. I'm just changing the label because it did not have one when I first added it to the map. I'm going to say OK, and I am going to zoom full. Oh, I need to enable on the fly transformation here. Okay, sorry, the instructions have that. Now I can see if I zoom in on Whitman County that my roads are overlaid. My coordinate reference system here, I'm using the, as you can see in the at the lower right hand corner, I'm using UTM Zone 11 North. Actually, from here on out, I could go ahead and change this, and let's go to our state plane south. Okay, you can see things kind of tilted, but everything still overlays. As long as the layer has the proper coordinate reference system for that layer, the program will overlay things properly. But if one of the layers is missing its coordinate reference system, which is not the same as saying it doesn't have one, it just doesn't have that label information along with the data set. As long as it has the proper information, the program will overlay them. If it doesn't have it, you have to tell the program what the proper coordinate reference system is, and you cannot just choose whatever your favorite one is. You have to find the one that's actually associated with the data set. Okay, you're also going to make a map from zoomed in here and make it just like the other maps. I think the only additional thing that I asked you to do was add a text box with the coordinate reference system of the map window, which is what is down here in the lower right hand corner, and that is lab 3.